Hey y'all, hi, I'm Hannah, and as many of you know, although maybe not all of you at this point, when I started my YouTube channel at the beginning of 2018, I stopped shopping at the same time. I didn't shop for the entire year of 2018, and for my first year on YouTube, a lot of my content, if not all of my content, was about that. I've come a long way since then with my relationship with shopping and documented some of that, and my YouTube channel has also evolved quite a bit since then. But this year, when the year clicked over from 2022 to 2023, I got the sudden urge to do another no-buy year. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I think that is, how I unpacked those feelings, and what I ultimately decided to do about it. If you like this and you haven't watched me before, I hope that you'll subscribe. And now let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. So a couple of weeks ago at the end of 2022, I was doing some reflecting on the year and how it had gone. I was actually using a YouTube video to prompt myself into some journal writing about the year. The video is by my friend and mentor, Julia Frodal. It's 14 prompts for reflection in the new year, and I'll link that down below. It's actually great. So in the course of this, looking back over the year, one of the things I realized is that I spent a bit more and bought a bit more stuff in 2022 than I would have liked. I feel like I overspent a bit in 2022. And I totally understand why it happened. It was really the second half of 2022. I think I was doing great actually for the first half. And then the second half of the year, it was a combination of things. We had moved to a new place and we were setting up house. In August, I was sick, and then I had some rocky times, kind of spiritually, emotionally, politically. And also I feel more financially stable than I have really ever before in my life, which is a great thing, but has also led me to feel like I don't need to monitor my spending as much as I have felt I had to in the past, which I think actually isn't true. So I'm not feeling angry with myself or even regretful, actually. I was just a little bit surprised. And I sat down and looked over the year. It was crystal clear. And I clearly, immediately said to myself, Hannah, you overspent a bit in 2022. And I do want to note here that this overspending that I'm talking about is a totally different beast from what I was doing back before I started my channel and my no-buy year, like in 2016 and 2017. Back then, I was spending money that I didn't have largely because of a sense of hopelessness and guilt about my lack of financial stability. When I overspent in 2022, I was spending money that I did have, which in retrospect, I kind of wish that I had been more thoughtful about and maybe saved or spent on something else. But at the end of the day, unlike my pre-no-buy year spending, at the end of the day or at the end of the year, it didn't ultimately add up to something deeply unwise, just something maybe, again, slightly unthoughtful, especially because I'm kind of angling towards forging a version of minimalism for myself going forward. And it feels in retrospect like some of my choices last year were counter to that. So it's not the same kind of life emergency and like behavioral emergency that launched my no-buy in 2018. However, when I was sitting down and reflecting on 2022 and thinking about my desires for 2023, I discovered in myself a powerful desire not to repeat the performance in 2023. I'm determined not to overspend in this way in 2023. It's one of my most powerful hopes for myself in the new year. And because of my personal history with the no-buy year, and because of how successful it was in 2018, I immediately thought, should I do another no-buy year? And for several heady moments, I imagined what that would be like. And then, almost as immediately, I realized that a full-on no-buy year, especially a strict one like I did in 2018, is totally not the right path for me this year. And there are actually like 100 reasons for that run the gamut from incredibly practical to sort of emotional, spiritual, and I'm not going to go into all of them now. But I think that one of the most salient reasons actually has to do with the difference between my pre-2018 overspending and the nature of the overspending that I did last year in 2022. In 2018, as many of you know, and if you don't know this story and you're interested in learning more, I'll put some links down below to like key no-buy year content that will help you get up to speed. But in 2018, I desperately needed a deep and total brain reset. Like I needed to reset my brain chemistry and rewrite my habits, essentially. And so I took drastic measures, and it was a year-long session of drastic measures. Right now, I think that I have what I would consider like a softer and more nuanced behavioral problem. And it requires a gentler solution. But it's connected to what I've been through. And that's great because I have been through it. And so I have this vast resource of experience and knowledge and ways of articulating all of that struggle on which to draw when deciding what path I should take for the new year. So the question that I asked myself is this. After I decided not to do a full no buy year, the question that I asked myself is this. What is appealing to me about a no buy year? What is that spark that leapt up that made me want to do it? What aspect, specifically what aspect of the no buy year am I craving right now? What is the part of being on a no buy that I do want back? And the answer came to me immediately. It's very clear to me, again, because there's sort of a blueprint for this in my personal history. I think it's a little bit more difficult to explain, but I'm going to try to do my best. The aspect of the no buy year for which I was feeling wistful going into the new year is something that I am calling the relief of the automatic no. So during the no buy year, here's how things would happen, right? One part of me would come up with this bright idea. The part of me that was still caught in those old habits would come up with the bright idea to buy something, like new leggings, new shoes. There was a part of my brain, even though I was on a no buy, that still always came up with buying something as a solution to any problem. So my brain would come up with this bright idea, and then the context of the no buy would swoop in and say, no, you're not doing that. And it was always a tremendous relief. The decision was made for me. It was just no. It was always no. No comparison shopping for hours on end, no stressing out about which purchase would be the right decision, no money spent, no item acquired. And what would happen next during my no buy year is that the similar or sufficient thing that I already owned, like the leggings that I already owned or the shoes that I already owned, would rise up in my consciousness, and then in my actual practical life, it would rise up to take the place of the thing that I would have bought. This exact chain of events, the automatic no and the consequential relief, and then the active use and appreciation for the stuff that I already owned, this chain of events took place hundreds of times during my no buy year. Actually, I would go so far as to say thousands of times during my no buy year. That is part of what changed my brain. It was like a muscle that had never been used that I brought into existence and strengthened during that year. And that is what I want back. So I realized while I was journaling and thinking and planning, I realized that I can just take it back. So I've started the new year defaulting to the automatic no whenever I want to buy something, or whenever I get the idea, whenever that little flicker of an idea starts in the back of my brain, like maybe what we need is, maybe what I want is, or maybe I should look for, whenever that starts, the automatic no. And it's slightly different. During the no buy year, during an actual strict no buy, when this happens, it's like what I already own will have to be good enough because I'm on a no buy and there are rules. Now, without the rules of the no buy, it's more like a question. It's like, hold on, what if what I already have is good enough? Could it be that I already have enough? Could it be that I don't need a more perfect pair of pants or more perfect pair of shoes? Could it be that the version I already have is good enough? Could I just let it go and get more use out of the ones that I already have? And what I've found, because I've already put this into practice, and we're only a couple days into the year, but it's already come in handy. It's already been relevant a great many times. What I've found is that with the introduction of those questions comes this marvelous relief, as I discussed, but also a kind of joy, the joy of having like a secret out. There's like a weightlessness that comes with it. It's like I'm reminding the part of my brain that's stuck in the habit of shopping that there is another path. And starting off down that path feels great. I'm sure that I'll still buy some things this year, but my hope is that it will only be after having asked myself these questions many times. Only after having said to myself, hold on, what if the version that I already have is good enough? What would it be like just to stick with what I already have? So instead of doing a no buy year, I'm planning for myself a year of reluctance to buy rather than eagerness to buy. And as befits, I think, the non-destructive but slightly unthoughtful way that I overspent in 2022, I'm enforcing it in a non-punishing way, an emphasis on thoughtfulness rather than rules, or rather a practice in which thoughtfulness is the only rule. Now, quick note before I end the video, I just want to make it incredibly clear that to me, this approach, this decision is an act of re-strengthening a muscle that, as I've said, already exists. And it only exists because of the no-buy year, the strict year-long no-buy that I did do back in 2018. If you have it really bad like I did, if you're overspending in a way that's detrimental to your inner life and probably your bank account too, and you are kind of drifting far from yourself, because to really know yourself, to be honest with yourself, would be to face what you've been doing and to kind of be forced to set yourself on a path to change. If you are like I was, then a year of reluctance to buy is not going to do it. At the beginning of 2018, if I had embarked on a year of reluctance to buy, nothing would have changed. And I'll leave some of my videos down below. I have a couple of videos called Should You Do a No-Buy Year? A couple of videos called How to Do a No-Buy Year. I'm saying it here in case you deep down know that you need to make a dramatic change and you've come to this video because of that, and then you're tempted to give yourself the easy way out because I'm saying I'm going to do a year of reluctance to buy. You're like, oh yeah, I can do that. That sounds easy, right? To clarify that, I don't think that a year of reluctance to buy will work when a no-buy year is what is necessary. So that is it. This, I think, is like the first update on spending stuff, the first official update on spending stuff that I've done on my channel in a while. So why don't you take the opportunity to update me in the comments? How are you doing? I know that some of you are doing no-buy years. I've seen it in my comments, and some of you are doing budgets, various approaches. And I would just love to know how you're thinking about managing the love of beautiful things, which is itself a beautiful thing, with the desire to be safe and secure and have what you need, and to foster long-term contentment in a life that is probably already beautiful. I appreciate you so much for being here and watching this. Again, I hope you'll subscribe if you aren't subscribed, and I hope that you're remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.